Hi, this is Kelly, and welcome to my vlog. I don't really know what to call it. I mean, I gotta come up with a title, but today I don't have one. Anyway, so I just want to announce that after like my big long video yesterday about my plan and starting juicing this week, by mid-afternoon, Tony and I had already bailed on the plan. We were hoping that our aversion to the majority of the juices would have gone away in the 3 weeks since we juiced, but it hadn't, and so we were just sticking with the fruit juices, and by the third time we were trying to juice, we could not stomach another sweet juice. So I've been giving some thought to, okay, so should I just skip the juice part and go straight into the eating raw / predominantly vegetables, which I still am going to be doing very heavy vegetables. But part of my concern is that in order to feel satisfied with what I'm eating, I've not been able to feel satisfied unless I've eaten a lot of starches, like a starch-based diet, or if I eat a lot of fat. And given my issues with food addiction and with fat specifically, it does make me nervous to be getting mostly vegetables and then getting my satisfaction from high fat foods like nuts and seeds and avocado and olives and things like that, because I just I'm not sure that that's the right direction to go for me given my givens. So for now I am going to try, at least in terms of for weight loss, I am going to try just cutting back on the amount of starches, making sure that I'm eating them after I've already had a number of vegetables, adding at least a salad or a vegetable soup or something like that, side dishes of vegetables prior to every meal, and having a lot with each meal, and just see how that goes. Also, there were some physical circumstances in the last week that could have been contributing to my headaches that I'm going to give a few more days to see if it passes. If it does not pass on its own, then I think I might look up like an actual elimination diet to figure out the best way to determine if I have a food sensitivity. So back to plan A, what I was already doing, except I just need to have a greater focus on making sure I get all my vegetables in. And so a lot of that will probably be raw. And I did get like a couple books on raw cooking and raw recipes that Juicing Mama recommended to me. So I'm going to go through those, see if I can find some good stuff. All right. So I did tell you that I was going to describe a situation that I had yesterday that was a great opportunity for learning. If you've watched any of my earlier videos, I did one on temperament, like what's the difference between a temperament that you're born with, that you're always going to have, and you just have to figure out how to make it work in your favor, or how to minimize the damage in your life that temperament may cause, and how to structure your behaviors in a way that allows you to achieve goals and, live the best life that you can have given who you are. So yesterday I had my first 5K of the year, and I was not very well prepared for it. I haven't been running all winter for a lot of reasons, and so I was basically going to be sucking wind this whole time. So to kind of make myself feel better about it, I decided, oh, well, okay, this will just be my baseline race, and I'll see, like, what do I weigh? How do I look? Like, get a picture of myself during the race, and then what my time was, and then I'll compare that throughout the year leading up to my last race of the year, and just see how much I've progressed as my weight goes down and as I get fitter and healthier. So I overslept, for starters, and ran out of the house without weighing myself, got to the race late so that I couldn't get the chip, the little timer thingy, that says how fast I go, so that they can record how fast I go, which was fine because I had my Garmin GPS watch on, so I was just going to use that. I don't really need it to be online in the results anyway, because it's not going to be good. So, and then Tony was going to take a picture of me like he always goes to my races and, you know, takes pictures of me along the course or when I'm going across the finish line. So I get across the finish line and I shut my Garmin off and I don't see Tony anywhere. And so I text him like, where are you? And it turns out he could not find any parking. He had to just drop me off and I had to run to the finish line or to the start line because we were so late and then there was no more parking and blah, blah. It turns out he didn't even make it to the race at all. He had been driving around that entire time. So I get in the car and I'm all mad because now I've got nothing. I've got no baseline weight, no baseline race time because, so I look down at my watch when I get into the car, when I finally find him, and I realized I had not actually shut the Garmin off. It was still running. So the official race time doesn't have a number for me because I didn't have a chip on and my Garmin's messed up because I forgot to turn it off and Tony didn't get a picture of me and I didn't weigh myself. And so I'm like, why did I even bother? Why did I even go to this thing? Rah, rah, rah. And I recognized it right away that I was doing it. And so I stopped myself and I said, okay, I want to stop being one of these whiny babies about stuff like this. And I want to start being able to go with the flow and just be like, okay, that's what happened. And I was trying to think of something positive about not having any baseline values. And as an analyst, as a data analyst and researcher, there's nothing positive about not having baseline values. I mean, don't even ask me to live in a world without baseline values. So that was my lesson number one, was that not everything can you just turn it around and make it into a positive. Sometimes things are just, you know, that sucked. It sucked that all three of those things happened at the same, at the same time and, whatever. That's just like the way it is. I mean, it's really minor when you think about all the things that happen to people in life that aren't what they wanted, It's just inconvenient and irritating. So the second thing I realized was that I was really trying to like play myself up as a victim about how and then I didn't get my chip because we were late and then my Garmin and then you usually take a picture of me crossing the finish line and there's at least a picture of the clock, the official race clock, blah, just making it into this gigantic deal. I did have the wherewithal to recognize that Tony was probably pretty frustrated driving around for a half an hour trying to find parking, knowing that he wasn't going to be at the finish line for me. And so I said, I'm really sorry this happened to you. And I know that must have been really stressful and frustrating for you. So, I mean, I am recognizing way faster than I have in the past when I get into one of these, but I still couldn't like let it go in the back of my mind. So the second lesson that I learned in that was that when I am frustrated and I'm having my whiny baby moment, I tend to exaggerate like what's really happening in order to convince myself that I truly am like a giant victim. I don't know why that would be a positive or something I would strive for, but I do it. And when I do it, I don't see, like, it blocks my thinking off from thinking past what's like thinking outside the box or seeing what can still be salvaged. I'm not sure the best way to say that, because as we were driving home, so Tony I was basically explaining to him that I didn't really care that I didn't have a picture of myself on the race course because it was a hideous race course. It was like in this new development. There aren't even any trees or anything. I said I just wanted a picture of myself running so that I could have something to compare it. And so then, and I wanted to know my time and blah, blah. So Tony takes this exit that's not our exit. So I'm like, where are we going? And he said, we're going to go down by the river and we're going to look for like a neat spot. And I'm going to take a picture of you running. And then I thought about it and I thought, what difference does it make? I mean, seriously, what difference does it make? I just wanted a baseline. And so that's what we did. And we ended up going down to this new bridge that just opened up that they had built in our town on the university campus. And I was running across the bridge and Tony took a picture of me coming across it. And it was, I mean, we just kind of laughed about it and everything. And he was such a good sport. And it's like, that's really all I cared about, was I just wanted like something to compare. So who cares if it was during the race or if it was right after the race? Secondly, in terms of not weighing myself, I mean, I could come home and weigh myself. I had already had breakfast, but then ran 3 miles, so it was probably a wash. And even if I waited till the next morning to weigh myself, is it really going to be statistically significantly different, the next morning from that morning? No, not in the grand scheme of things. It's going to be a good approximation of what I weighed. And third, I did know how fast I ran because I looked down at my Garmin when I was turning it off as I was running across the finish line. So as long as I write that down before, I forget, which granted these days that window is pretty small, but if I write it down, I would know. So it doesn't matter that I didn't turn the Garmin off in time or that the official race, doesn't have my time. I know what my time was. So why am I pretending I don't when I do? So anyway, I don't know why I do that. So I got home and I wrote the time down on the back of my race bib, and Tony took a video of me running across the bridge, and I hopped on the scale and got a number, and what? I mean, seriously. So that was some important lessons that I got out of that, is that for one, I mean, baby steps. So I was able to sort of reel myself in within minutes of starting to get upset. And secondly, I also learned through that indulging in that just closes me off from actual real solutions. So anyway, I thought that was like some good lessons, and I'm glad that I learned them. So that's where I'm at right now, and who knows where I'm going to be at tomorrow, but I'll let you know. So keep coming back.